so angry.
What
am I supposed
Okay.
to do with this?
Are we ready?
Oh, yeah. We are so
I'm not SpongeBob.
Hello, Hannah.
Hi. I miss you. I miss you so much.
I think you have chocolates. My memory's not identical.
That was very beautiful.
E.
The negative 0.
It's like, is it just gonna stop? Don't worry.
It's the brown one.
It's because he's holding with his left hand and drawing with the very point.
I like to draw the point.
Drawing with the point is going to be like, okay, what am I doing? I'm confused.
Does this work like a?
No.
I mean, does this work like a geometric?
That's what I thought
It does.
But it's there. But just like scribble it. I put the M there.
How did my purple marker get in there?
I don't know.
That might have to come out. No, you can use it.
Wait, how does it work again?
But purple is like my favorite color. I usually don't put
That's
that in.
my favorite color too. That's the lavender.
You don't have to find a way to do that.
What? Okay.
Not in this problem. That would not be extremely critical.
I mean, I wouldn't reduce it. It'd be not very fun looking.
Well, yeah,
4% of what?
Well, that's
2
like.
And if the number is, which makes R greater than
This is just
Small more, so it's just.
R is greater than 1. So
Okay, many of you are rewriting it to this. I think that's a good idea. You could either use the root test or you could use the geometric test. 1 over e to the 0.02.
well, R
Is that less than 1?
No,
yes.
because e to the 0.02 should be less than 1, which would make the term greater than
Oh. Yeah.
No,
Yes.
because that's
That makes
just
sense.
e to the 0.02 is just going to be a really large root. And if you have a number greater than, like, if you take a really big root of anything, it's going to make it approach 1, but it's not going to be less than 1.
Very, very close.
Because the square root of 1 is 1.
1. Oh, you're right.
Any root of 1 is 1. And since e is bigger than 1, no matter what the root is, it should be bigger than 1.
Well, unless the root is the infinity.
Not a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so r is less than 1. Absolute value of r is less than 1, so it converges geometric.
So,
All right.
think about this. In the Dora
Do we
universe,
not
there's a
have to
fox
find
whose
more
name
words?
is literally just.
In this one, I probably would not make you do that because e to the 0.02.
Wait, you didn't make us like solve for what it was. You just wanted to dance, like whatever.
Yeah. Right now, we're just going to work on converges, diverges.
You know what's gonna get me? Not knowing how to do the rules is not gonna get. It's gonna be not being able to simplify it to something that. Why does it have to be that nasty? So.
Are you just addicted to negative 0.02?
She's only used it twice.
Well, she used it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
That's 2 for 2. That's not that much.
I keep using it.
That's fine. I was giving you the benefit.
Thank you. But I think just to spite, I'm going to use it again. Actually, I'm not going to. It's not going to work out.
Oh, there's an N on the top. I wrote it down before I
You can still divide the
realized
end.
that. I know, I'm just sad because I was about to do the nth term test. I'm like, oh, it's infinity, but you got an N in there. I
Actually,
wrote it down
taking
before you wrote the N.
That makes a difference. What type of test would be best?
root. Owning a root test would be helpful because not everything is elevated to the nth power.
You might not need that.
Yes, it's a mix, right? You have polynomial and exponential.
So probably a comparison test of some sort.
How should we write this?
You could do ratio.
I was trying to do ratio.
I don't want
was
to
like,
do a
where's my
ratio test
denominator
with this
at?
one.
I like the
I
It
don't.
makes
There's
sense.
absolute
Ratio
values and
test.
stuff to remember. And fortunately, it's the same pattern as the root test. But like, I'm still not
That makes sense.
Hello.
Do we usually have a pass?
Oh, okay. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day.
Same to you.
So what are you using, Bill?
I'm using the ratio test now.
Oh, you decided.
Yeah, because even though it's not a fraction, it's a pretty clean thing.
I hear many people doing the ratio test. Is anybody doing something different?
I did the root test.
You wanted the end.
I like Jackson's assumption. I am claiming it. That's my yeah. I'm like Sean.
Even though E is 2 bad, it's still greater than
And he's trying to like not a good number. He was just trying to just do that guy's number divided by 1.
Just gotta take all of the constants and divide them by randomly.
So what are you talking about?
Okay.
Sean. In physics too.
McLean.
He wants a constant named after him.
Yes.
All the snacks.
Yeah. The Max constant.
Snacks.
Scooby Snacks.
I think there should be an apostrophe above the S though, so it's like s'mores, but no.
Scooby
I think it should be so.
Okay, if you do the ratio test, you should end up with this when you simplify.
And then when you do the one,
This guy goes to 1, so our limit is 1 over e to the 0.02, and we figured out that this is
less than 1.
less than 1, so we converge by the ratio test.
Fun. And then I'm assuming we're going to see negative 0.02 again. My favorite number.
Maybe I'll be done with it. Any questions?
Study and I'll run out of time. That doesn't make everything better.
Are you being grumpy?
Kaylee answered.
Please don't. Oh, boy.
Oh, well.
See, this looks nice and fun. These are actually, like, this is my favorite test version.
And what is your favorite test?
It's not a P series game.
It's not a P series.
Ooh,
However,
Ah.
Dang.
But you're wearing this color too. I think you're kind of almost. Darby has flowers that color.
well, you could compare it to a P series.
You take the cube root and She was like sitting. She was, but then I said hi, but she didn't. Just kidding.
Well, I guess the closest is. Yeah, I
Fix that for you.
and then it's extra level.
The misuse of the various spellings of two might be affecting the claim.
Wait, you could just separate the fraction.
Dude, I'm about to ask you just switch this for me. Next week.
Oof, yeah. There, Gabe, I'm using my right hand like a normie.
No, it's fine. I'm just. It's bad.
Oh.
Here, here.
Wait, equals
How many of you are using the limit comparison test?
trying to.
What other tests are we using?
I just used the nth term test and split the thing.
When to use the direct comparison test versus.
Oh, it's
You can't split
See,
the
that's-
denominator.
I'm gonna get the ones confused where it's like.
One time.
So root
That's not how it works.
So basically, I would use the direct comparison test if you can think of an obvious series to compare it to. But if something doesn't pop out at you, use the limit comparison test. Because like there's a lot of stars that have to line up to use the direct comparison test. So if something's not jumping out at you right away, like if you're starting to think, don't waste your time thinking for like 3 minutes of a series to compare it to when the limit comparison test can be done. I mean, it takes a little bit longer, but it's more straightforward because you don't have to like pull something out of thin air. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes.
Could you compare it to just one over the cube root of n, or
See,
would you
that's-
have
I
to do
think
the
that's
cube root of n plus?
So, well, which one of these has a higher power?
When you go to 0, that's what you're saying.
5, 6.
Okay, so you're gonna have to compare it
To 1 over n to the 5, 6.
to 1 over n to the 5/6, which we know is a divergent p-series. Okay, now, if we have a divergent series, then it needs to be smaller than our original series. Okay, and is that the case here?
No.
Is this guy bigger than this guy?
Yeah.
I can't.
Oh, wait, no, it's not.
It's not. So Kaylee, here's one answer to your question. We haven't really even decided which comparison test we were gonna do, but we know we can compare it to n1 over n to the 5/6. If we do the limit comparison test, this will be great. If we want to save time and do the direct comparison tests, since this is divergent, it needs to be smaller than our original, but that is not the case.
Okay.
So we have to go forward with limit comparison.
Oh,
Does that make sense? Like if we're comparing to a divergent series, then our original series has to fit over it. It has to be bigger because then we know it would also have to diverge. And since this is not bigger than this, we're going to have to settle for limit comparison. Jackson, did I answer your question and all of that?
I realize.
Okay.
Is there ever a case where we're going to be faced with a problem like can we do a really direct comparison test Because I feel like it's more of a helpful tool, but we're always going to be shooting for the LCT anyway.
Okay, say the first part of your question again.
Like right there, we went and saw if we could use the direct comparison test, but
Yeah.
we couldn't, so we just
Yeah.
went to limit. But is there ever a case where you're not going to be able to use limit, but you could use direct?
Probably in the case of
Because I'm thinking I almost always try to do limit, and then if I realize that it's pretty simple and it'll be
How
smaller.
did you immediately get it to be 1?
Because n to the 5/6 coefficients.
Oh, it's because when you that simplifies down to 1.
you know, I'm sure there is
But it's
a
like,
situation, but it's probably a situation that you could also use the ratio test on.
okay.
You see what I mean? Like, I feel like the direct comparison test
Is,
is something that really has to pop out at you. Otherwise, there's always going to be another way to go about it. Okay? The limit comparison test is more versatile. It takes a little bit more work, but have I answered the questions that need to be answered?
I think so.
Okay. Remember for the limit comparison test, we just need to be positive and finite. I know 1 kind of scared some of us, but that's just ratio and root test that we don't want 1 in our limit. Okay? Limit comparison test just needs to be positive and finite. Okay? Was that like a question?
No, it's throwing me off is that ratio and root, they are being compared to like 1 at the end when you're taking limit.
Yeah.
These ones are-
Limit comparison is just
What?
No, but it's not the
What?
what?
Really?
what?
You just said,
I'm going to. Yeah, but I
Corey
want
said,
to.
I'm gonna sneeze. He said, just say pineapple. Pineapple. Now you're not gonna sneeze.
So when you do the nth term test
Oh,
on
wait,
those
we got another
in
problem.
series and then show that they alter?
You're not doing the nth term test. You're writing out the nth sum and taking the limit of the nth.
Oh, this is probably ignorance details.
Are you understanding what I'm saying, Joe?
Well, like,
So the nth term test, you would take the limit of that right there.
Yeah.
Which is 0, so it doesn't matter. But the telescoping series, you would write out the sum. So like 1 over square root of 1 minus 1 over square root of 2 plus 1 over square root of 2 minus 1 over square root of 2.
all the way to n.
All the way to n. And then figure out what cancels and then take that limit.
Okay.
Now, if this were like n and n plus 2, you would have 4 terms. Yeah. Because the first 2 would have canceled. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What is
Well, think of it this way. We're literally calculating terms because it's okay. It's all these things. It's just
Is
Right,
it?
but I'm asking when you figure out the anything.
Do you still remember? Amy?
Yours is like hard to remember.
There was a resurrection done, like
What?
the first resurrection.
No. Is it something like
When?
Robert or
The one over.
something classes though?
What? What are you talking about?
The middle name that starts with R for
Fractions with
Oh, I
and this
missed it.
but it was 1 over
What are you
n
doing?
times
I think you were saying
I
that.
feel like
Three
you
minutes.
I feel like I've heard that before.
It's not
Wait,
Robert.
what that means? What is it?
Tires.
Tires.
Robert.
Who am I to
He
judge
loves
another
cars.
Riley.
What? Like on
No.
the side, what does he do?
Is it
I
Rhodes or
don't
Romeo?
think so. I think it has to be Ryan.
Rob.
Ryan. Yeah. I don't think so.
With your contact.
Okay, if we look at our nth partial sum, we have
And they all cancel.
don't forget to write out this last term. Okay? Now, 2 cancels with 2, 3 cancels with 3, 4 cancels with 4, all the way to there. If this didn't cancel until over here, like if this would have been n plus 2, you would have had this guy and this guy missing, which means you would have also had this guy and whatever would have been right here to account for. But we don't. So we take the limit as n approaches infinity of what we had left over, and that limit is 1. So this converges to 1 by the telescoping series.
It'll come back to us.
Okay. Other questions besides the one that Gabe maybe has
Do you have the answer key on your website?
for this?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Right?
Was it there last night?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm just.
I thought you were just gonna write convergence and I was so
Yeah. See, this
Now
is.
figure out the value of CO.
No.
R, G.
Okay, so because cosine of pi theta goes up and down. So
Like I understand that like this is supposed to be a continuum, one, but I don't know how I'm supposed to recognize that it's like -1 to this one.
So if we plug in 1, we have the cosine of pi, which is -1. And then we would plug in 2, and the cosine of 2 pi is +1. So our pattern is -1, +1, -1, +1.
Right.
So we just go down to the n power.
But then like on the review, there was one where it was like this, but it was an input from like -1 to n+1.
What is it?
So how is that? Like,
Start on this one, and I'll look at what you're talking about. Because I'm not thinking of.
Because like I get that
Yeah,
I can like plug it in and then like.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if it's decreasing. Okay, that's what it is.
Oh, I think I have it wrong on my key. It should be just -1 to the n. Okay. It wouldn't matter either way because it's still an alternating. So, just to lessen your panic. I do agree. So, what is this limit?
It's the limit of it without the alternating
And
front.
it equals?
Yes.
And then you need to show me that it's tracing.
Yeah,
However, it would converge conditionally
because
of what you just
yeah,
did.
how do you solve?
Do you want us to write on the quiz for all the if it's conditional or not? Or
So let me reference my notes here.
Yeah, this is the problem.
So
This is the problem.
I will
So I did this.
I would ask you separately,
okay.
like here's an alternating series, tell me if it converges conditionally
What
or
does
absolutely.
converging conditionally mean?
It means if we take out the alternating piece and we
Will it
have this
converge?
series of 1 over 2 to the 2/3, does it converge? So 1 over n to the 2/3 would not be a convergent series. So it only converges because of the alternating piece. So we say that it converges conditionally, that condition being the -1 to the n. Okay, so in an alternating series, remember the first thing you need to do is look at the limit as n approaches infinity of a sub n, which is 0, check mark. And then you need to show me that it's decreasing. And if those things are true, then this would converge by the alternating series test. Now, if we take out the alternating piece, we would have a p series where p is less than 1, which is not convergent. So if I were to ask you, does this converge conditionally or absolutely, you would talk about that p series, and you would say that this converges conditionally because the p series would diverge without that alternating piece. Are there any questions about that that I haven't answered?
Instead of doing the like number 2 there, can you do it the way that this has it, where you do b of n plus 1, because then you compare it to b of n, and you just say that it's less than or equal to?
So you need to show me that it's decreasing. So, and there's 3 ways to do that. You can either take the difference and show that the difference is less than 0. You can show that the ratio is less than 1, and then you could, or you could show this. But I do need you to show that that is true. Okay. Okay. Rolling right along. Which one do I want to give you now? I know exactly what I want to give you.
No, it should be that.
Your problem. One test.
I also said.
I know.
No.
On this.
I mean, if you use the integral test on, like, here,
Disgusting.
like if you were going to use the integral test on something like that, but you wouldn't use the integral test, right?
Your work just to start doing the work.
I just.
Yeah, but I would use the ratio test on that one.
Do you care if I make it X or if I just move it? Selman?
Hmm?
Do you care if I just leave it in N or integrating it? You want me to-
I do care. I want you to change it to X for the integration.
That's what I was saying, because I saw her doing it, and that's normally how I do on my paper, and I'm like, but I'm all over
Sorry.
it. X.
There's just so many letter changes.
I know, it's like,
Do we have to write out the word integral, or can we just say integral test?
You're at the integral.
I was about to ask you
Is
that.
the
We don't
integrate
have
the
it
word
now.
test?
No, we're not that.
Integer test.
Sorry, that sounded really weird.
Intelligence test. That was a lot
I was
of
like,
thought.
I was like, oh my god.
That was aggressive.
I'm gonna end up not writing positive continues and decreasing in this happy points.
So I was looking over 3 to 5 minutes ago. Oh, I haven't done that one yet.
Just assume, you know, it's a big old denominator and it goes to a big number with natural, because natural log positive.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, that's.
If it doesn't meet the criteria for the integral test,
Then
does
it
it diverge?
You can't use it.
Okay.
Oh,
That's-
really?
That's what I thought. If it doesn't meet the criteria, then it's inconclusive. That's what
You just can't use it.
makes sense.
Can I write the derivative like that? And it's gonna work. If I can just tell it's decreasing, right? If I tell you it's decreasing,
They're not dots, they're asterisks. Like it's hidden behind a password.
You mean check?
Okay, so you end up getting your integral to be 1/2 natural log squared of 2.
Shouldn't it be plus because it's subtracting a negative?
I have my negative 1/2 out here.
Oh, okay.
So yes, but I just have it written different. The natural log of a goes to infinity, so since it's in the denominator, that would go to 0. Okay, if you get any sort of numeric value, that's what the integral is converging to. And if the integral converges, then the series converges. We don't know to what, but we know that it converges based on the integral test. If the integral diverges, then so does the series. Okay. Any questions on that integration?
Just hold on. That's like.
Yeah, I'm holding on. I just
Oh.
Okay, then
No, I
9,
just
4,
don't
yes.
Let's hold on. How do you do that derivative?
Look at my message.
Six.
Does anyone like my message? No one listens.
I would do this.
Oh, that's just.
Oh, okay.
She just goes through it. Maybe I'm gonna think about that.
It's not rocket science until it literally becomes rocket
Yeah. I remember my mom and dad went and saw that movie like Hidden Figures, and then like they made some joke afterwards. Huh? They made some joke afterwards like it's not rocket science. And I was like, but it is.
science. But it is though.
Okay, maybe last one because we have 6 minutes left.
6 months left.
Wow,
I've gone
that's
through
real.
6 problems.
Take your time.
This is not brain surgery.
You only want one more?
Yeah.
It's not rocket surgery.
There's rocket science, and I want to do rocket brain surgery. And so I want to give her a shirt that says, at least it's not brain surgery. And I'll have one that says, at least it's not rocket science.
It's not
It'll be
rocket
cute.
surgery.
That is cute.
It's not brain science.
There's more than one.
Wait, wait, why don't we just say it's not brain
Everything
science?
is brain science. Your brain does science.
There's more than one
Dude,
way to
my
find out
brain
the
doesn't
wrong
do
proverbial truth.
3. There's multiple ways to remove a cat's skin from.
I love your shit.
Oh, was the original thing I just wrote anything? Was it actually 2?
Yeah. I don't know how to write.
Okay, so how do we do this?
You wing it.
Oh, let's do the ratio test.
Oh, yeah,
I wish I could.
buddy. I love the ratio test.
I also love the ratio test.
It's my
fun.
favorite
You get to
test.
cross things out.
I know, it's very satisfying.
Is that 2n or 2 times n?
I don't see the difference in what you just described.
Okay, yes, that's actually true. I'm just a big brain.
Corporate wants me to find the differences
Between the pictures,
They're the same.
they're the same picture, quite literally.
Oh, I love this class.
Okay, 90%.
When you graduate, you know you're gonna miss this time.
Yeah.
I almost wrote
Maybe
win
we should just
instead
not
of
graduate.
convert.
Everyone fail your English class.
No, I need.
Let's all pull a Devin.
Hey, what did you
But
say?
not gonna graduate.
He's not.
But it was hilarious because he wasn't
Why is he
there.
not gonna graduate?
He doesn't take enough classes here. Like,
He
he
was
was
graduating
graduating
homeschool. He's getting
Yeah.
like a homeschool graduation.
But
I'm kind of jealous.
That's not as
Graduation
special,
ceremony is gonna be really short.
I'm just happy that's
no,
Not if we all drop out.
Wow, the ratio test is so cool.
We all
you
fail
could all
these
join
spots.
him. You know, people.
I want to marry
Well,
the
and
ratio
we're
test.
we're like,
Literally
well,
the
Devin's
best
not here.
test.
Someone said, well, he's not gonna graduate.
Oh, yeah. And the guy was like,
He was like, no, he's the reason why I wanted to talk about this one is I wanted you to make sure that that n+1 got distributed to the 2. Because what happens is your limit is actually what?
0 times 4. It's 0.
Oh, sorry. But it's 4 times 0 is what I wanted you to be aware of. Like this would simplify to 4.
Yeah. And then 1 over n plus 1 is 0.
Yes.
What class is next? Because I should leave, like, I should rewrite it and leave the work on my desk.
It's calc AB.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna rewrite it.
They have a
and leave it on
test
my
though.
So 2 to the 2n plus 2 divided by 2 to the 2n
Right.
would be, you would have 2 to the 2 left over.
4.
I got
This is a 0.
Oh, she's
hard.
Did you watch the direct last week?
All right.
Joker 2000.
Actually.
Oh no.
Joker for Smash. Yeah, they announced that.
Do we have time for another one?
Which is kind of just like,
Oh, you can-
how did they do that?
You don't have to write it down.
Are you serious?
Can I do something?
E.
E.
The limit towards this guy is
E.
which is
Not 0.
so
Divergent.
nth term test. Put your stuff away.
Well, that would be a
Hey,
good
Liz, this woman, can I leave this on my desk to scare the calculating kids?
Yes.
No, you're not.
You know what? Let's not. Let's not. But you know what? I left a bunch of stuff up on the board yesterday, and they came in and I said, "Hey, you have a warm up on the board." And they were like Eli Warner for a legit 60 seconds thought that that's what he had to do.
What?
You're the best.
I
Do you
can't.
have like a washi thing because there was something